Hey everyone, welcome to episode 14 of Shaman Talk with Tegan. So today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different here. I'm going to talk about some common misconceptions that I have come across when it comes to either shamanism or tarot cards, because I started off my journey reading tarot cards and I still do that for people. And I've gotten some interesting reactions or things that I've heard maybe through the grapevine. And so this is not to call anyone out or anything like that, but I do want to clear up some misconceptions that are out there and just be able to, put the truth out there, I guess. So when it comes to tarot cards, the number one thing that I have personally heard, or, I've heard others, like I said, through the grapevine say, is that reading tarot cards somehow is like an evil act, or that you tap into negative, bad energy to do it or something. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. Of course, I can't speak for every tarot card reader, right? But like, you can say that about people in almost any occupation or hobby or what, like, there's people out there, no matter what they're doing, they're trying to sneak in and take advantage of people, right? But odds are, if you meet a tarot card reader, all the ones that I've met are lovely people who are doing it to help others, to help guide people and give them answers. And that's all. Tarot cards is not a negative, awful thing. So there are tarot cards, and then there are oracle cards. And for some reason, oracle cards make people more comfortable. And I will say that oracle cards overall usually have a more positive, uplifting message. Well, tarot, it can sometimes be a little bit of that tough love, like, hey, you're messing up, you need to fix it. But that's not necessarily awful or negative or evil, that's just telling it like it is. So depending on who the client is when I read for them or what their issue is, I'll say, okay, either we're doing tarot or oracle, and we'll go from there. But I have had people who genuinely think that I and other tarot card readers are like evil. And I'm here once again to say that that is absolutely not true. I have genuinely helped people with their readings. A lot of people come to me when they're at a crossroads in life, or where they're at a sticking point. They're not sure which way to go. And, I'll give them some insight, and it's not me telling them. It's what happens when I'm reading is I'm connecting to my guides, my spirit guides, and I'm connecting to my angels. Even if I'm not using an angel deck, I'm still connecting to them. And oftentimes I'm connecting to that person's, set of guides and whoever. And it's only happened like once or twice, but I have had people's ancestors come in as well during a tarot card reading. And these are all people who love them and support them and want to help them. So the method of which I or anybody else does that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter between tarot cards or oracle cards. It doesn't matter if someone uses a pendulum. It doesn't matter if someone even uses a Ouija board. It's all about intention. So like I said, sure, there might be some people out there, unfortunately, who are doing some not so positive things. But if you're with somebody and they're giving you guidance and helping you, they're doing it from a positive, good place, good intentions of helping. That is all. I'm not entirely sure where people get this notion that it's like I'm calling on the devil or something. I have a few guesses of where that originated from, but I won't go there. And I will say there is a devil card in tarot, yes, but it's not, at least the way I read it and a lot of people read it, it's not what you think it is. And my biggest thing is like, not everybody has to believe in tarot cards. Not everyone has to get a reading. That's fine. You can have your own beliefs. But my my plea, I guess, is to not pass judgment or think that you know better when really you probably potentially know nothing about tarot cards, And that's just coming from a recent experience that I've had actually very recently with someone who passed judgment, and I won't go into all the details, but it was something they were uneducated about it, and that's okay. But to pass judgment and try and shame someone basically for doing something that you refuse to educate yourself about, that's not okay. You don't, and to be frank, they didn't know what they were talking about. And normally I let those things totally just slide down my back, like roll off my back, whatever. But this was an instance where it actually kind of impacted my life briefly there, and it kind of messed some things up because of this person's preconceived notions based off of nothing. So that's why, it did affect me. And part of what made me want to make this video is just to make sure that the idea that just because someone reads tarot cards does not make them evil. They're not doing an evil act. Like I said, most people you meet who do this kind of work are going to say they're just trying to help people. They're doing it from good intentions, from a positive place. They're reaching to their angels and guides, and those are the beings that are up in the higher realms that are no more than us, us humans. Okay, so I want to kind of move from there into another common misconception, that just because you're religious does not mean you can't get a tarot card reading. Or, to move on to my shamanism a little bit, just because you have a specific religion doesn't mean that you can't get energy work done. And I know some people will argue that that's not the case, and that's fine. Then I'm obviously not here to force people to do things against their will or things they don't want to do. But again, it comes back to, I've had people, try and spread that don't do that. That'll be bad for you. Don't trust this person type of thing. And again, it goes back to the judgment. Like I said in my, excuse me, illumination video, literally everyone can benefit from an illumination, at least one. More like everyone needs 10, but at least one, you'll feel a difference. Even readings, don't knock it till you try it, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Just because you have a certain set of beliefs or you're with a certain religion doesn't mean that you can't be open-minded and explore these things for your own self, It doesn't make you go against your religion, even though it might feel like it. It doesn't mean that you have to give up what you believe. It's just, I don't know, we could all benefit from just taking a step back and not holding so tightly to what we think we know, especially if we don't actually know what we're talking about, And so you can be religious and get energy work done, get a reading done, and it'll be okay. So that's going to move me into my third thing that I want to talk about. This is a touchy subject, so prepare yourself. What I've had personally happen to me a couple of times. So when I tell people I'm a shaman, there's usually one or two reactions. It's either huh? What? What does that mean? What is that? And so that's part of the reason why I started making this page in general, because of that reaction. And then there's another reaction where people are genuinely interested, but for some reason, even if they're very nice and interested in asking me questions, they'll at some point have to say something along the lines of, oh, well, I believe in God, but, and then start asking me questions or start talking about something. And I don't know, it's just so odd, because it's I don't know why they felt the need to say that. That's why, again, I'm making not just this video, but this page, because I feel like there's still this image of shaman, I guess, maybe, where they think I'm making sacrifices. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking in their head, but I think it's because shamanism is it's so ancient. It's beyond any other religion, really. This set of beliefs goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. So I don't know if people assume that we hold on to the negative aspects that you've maybe heard somewhere. I don't know. Again, it's not I'm sacrificing animals or something. I'm not sure what people's thought process is. I'm a godless heathen. I don't know. But I'm here to say that as a shaman, and I can't speak for every single shaman out there, obviously, every lineage, whatever, but from my lineage, from what I'm taught, like that we recognize and acknowledge that all these different beings and all these different things that we work with are clear or whatever come from and ultimately a single source. So we do acknowledge, and some people refer to it as God. But the thing is the biggest difference, I guess, for probably most people is that although there is a singular source from what we believe, and everyone, obviously this is, again, a touchy subject that can, like, an entire podcast, an entire 12 podcasts could be made about God and what that means. But to put it very lightly, what shamans also believe, and honestly, this was what Jesus was trying to go for in his teachings that got a little screwed up and spewed back out, was that although there is an ultimate source of where this energy comes from and created thing, like the beginning, we are all aspects of God. We can look at each other and be like, oh, there's God. We can look at the trees outside. Oh, there's God. You know what I mean? And oftentimes in shamanism, it isn't referred to as God, but I'll just use that term because it's more known and accepted. And so, it's this idea that, and like I've said in my other videos, shamans, we don't believe in heaven and hell. So for us, there isn't a God that's like judging you and, laying down the law, laying down the hammer. For us, when we think of God or the ultimate being or whatever you want to call it, I'm saying it because I, no matter what, firmly believe that God is not a male or female. Like, for something that created the entire universe, there's no way that it ascribes to either a male or female. That's just my thoughts. But anywho, we won't get too deep into the God thing because I don't want to offend anyone. That's never my intention. This is just a different perspective. But what I'm trying to say is, as shaman, we do believe in God. But it's just that we probably have a different idea of what that means to us and what that truly is. And that's okay. It's okay to have a different opinion and a different thought process. Some of you might see this and be like, wow, blasphemy, holy crap, but it's really not. It's just a different way of thinking, a different perspective, different way of seeing things. So we'll move on from that to my last misconception, which this one I think is the biggest one. And it's just that whether I'm reading tarot cards or doing energy work or doing a soul retrieval for someone, there's people out there I know, and this is mostly by their looks, and I can, read their energy. I'll tell them about it, and they're just like, okay. And in their mind, they're thinking, this person's nuts. Like, they've got to be making this completely up. And I'll be honest, there are times, especially when I'm doing something like a soul retrieval, and I'm literally in the moment having to go back into this person's past and see what has happened to them to make them have this trauma that's been going on. There are times where I question my sanity sometimes, I won't lie, but in the end, it always makes sense to this person. Or whether I'm doing a reading, I'll sometimes say like either some weird word or some weird phrase where even in the moment I'm like, what am I talking about? But then 9 times out of 10, the person will be like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. Or I was just thinking that this morning. And it's like, there we go. Okay, that makes sense. That's why I said that, or that's why I had that thought. Because, while I'm doing readings and stuff, I am not usually directly channeling anybody or anything. But sometimes, like when those specific thoughts come through, like the weird turn of phrase or the weird word that I would normally never use, I'm like, oh, someone was directly coming through for a second there. And again, that's not bad or scary, because when I do readings, when I do my energy work, my shaman work, I'm in something called a sacred space that I open up, and got the essentials too, like sage, Florida water, things like that, things that cleanse and clear myself all the time, cleanse and clear my room from where I do most of my readings and work. So in the end, my main point here is that if you don't know much about something and it causes you fear, I understand that, obviously you'd want to stay away from it. But I ask that you don't judge others. And I ask that no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be energy work or tarot cards. But if something gives you fear and you're not entirely sure why, I encourage you to look into why. Look into yourself or look into the thing that scares you, whether it is tarot cards or maybe it's just, I don't know, a different religion that makes you really uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, well, why? What is it? Even if it's like Buddhism, you're like, oh, meditation sounds awful. Well, why? Meditation is meant to be the exact opposite of that. And it's like, you got to ask yourself, well, have I tried meditation? Have I actually given it a real shot? There are places everywhere where you can go in and do a group meditation where people help guide you there. And I'll tell you what, when it comes to meditation, I was never a believer, I was like, ugh, whatever, I don't need that. And it's really a game changer. Like, even if you can sit down and do it once a week at first and just do it for 10, 15 minutes, I think as a society, we are so into our phones. I mean, I'm saying that as I'm recording here, but we're so into our phones and shows, and we're so just constantly, our brain's just constantly going. And we don't give it time, besides when we're asleep, to calm down. But it's like, try and do that while you're conscious. Because the things that will come to you, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And it might not be at first because it's going to be hard. But I've had it happen during illuminations too, where people are all of a sudden inundated with either these thoughts they'd never let themselves think, or I call them downloads. Your guide's like, oh, they're finally in a place where they can receive these things we're trying to help them with. And I've had people be like, whoa, I'm having all these thoughts. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And I'm like, yes, these are good things. As long as they're positive thoughts, I guess. But it's okay to slow down and, take a breath. Okay, anyways, we're going to stop there. I don't want to get too intense into certain subjects. So my plea here is to don't knock it till you try it. I mean, go out there and do something that maybe makes you a little afraid, whether that is tarot cards, getting a reading, or getting an illumination, or whatever it is. Just know I can only speak solely for myself when saying that I have the best of intentions. I connect to the highest of beings when I do this work. Most people who do this type of work are going to be the same way. There's a reason that we're doing it. There's a reason we're light workers in this lifetime. It's because we have genuine intentions and just want to help. Okay, so that's it. So if you had or still have any of these thoughts that I've been putting out there, the misconceptions, I'm not mad at you. I'm not blaming you, whatever it is. But maybe take a second, ask yourself why you're so afraid or why you're so judgmental about it, and go meditate on it. There we go. That's how I'm going to bring this all together. Go meditate on it, figure it out. And then get back to me and get a reading done or something like that, or do something that is out of your comfort zone. Get out of the comfort zone. It'll be okay. You'll survive, and it all will be all good. All right, so hope everyone has a good day, and start expanding your mind and ideas and thoughts.